10 minutes ago, my normal light that lights me, the bulb blew. So I'll go get a new bulb. So I put a bulb out of the shed, and it's like 15 watts. It's like for an oven. So it's really dim.
Well, I was going to say you look quite dark.
I look sick. I look jaundiced.
This is Sheer Isolation. It's presented by Kieran Moore in Trowbridge and John Ponting in Cricklade.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is Sheer Isolation. I am John in Cricklade and Kieran is over in Trowbridge. Hello to Kieran.
Hello, John.
We've got a cracking guest lined up, a one-woman show actress.
Even though I work with her, I actually don't know her surname.
We had this problem last time. It's Flo Espeut-Nickless. I'm not sure if that's
it.
Precise pronunciation.
Espeut, that's it. Espeut-Nickless. So she is born and raised Wiltshire. I think she was went to school in Chippenham, grew up and went to school in Chippenham, went to college in Trowbridge. She is an actress, darling. She's a thespian. And she did a one-woman show, as you pointed out, which had critical acclaim across the whole of this area. Sold out all of the venues that it performed in.
I've got the biggest respect to anybody who can stand on a stage and just do like a 90-minute monologue. Incredible brain capacity to remember that much content.
Yeah, and I think in this particular instance, I think it helps because some of it is semi-biographical and some of it is based on other people. So the story itself is like of one person going through one experience, but in reality, it was lots of people having various experiences that she's trying to amalgamate it down into a snapshot of what it's like to live in this area and the things that go with that.
Cool. Okay, time for a track. I get to pick the track this week. And you may have seen in the news about, because all the supermarkets and the big high street stores are doing their Christmas ad campaigns, and all over the telly they spend loads of money doing their Christmas ads. And there was the John Lewis have got their track out, and they've used in the background kind of a melodic, slow version of Together in Electric Dreams. I can't remember who the original artist was, Kieran. Can you help me on that?
Oh, Electric Dreams was...
we'll come back to that. While Kieran's Google.
I do know it. Is it Soft Cell? No.
A folk duo called The Portraits kind of hit the news a bit this week when they said that they had released a very similar sounding version of that song last year, and they'd sent it to John Lewis as to say, would you like to use this in a Christmas track? And they didn't hear back, and now this alternative version is being used in their Christmas ads. So although Jeremy and Lorraine Millington, although they've kind of taken it with far more dignity than I probably would if I was in that situation. They said it's fine. We did it as a charity single. We're not looking for like loads of. We're not doing it for the money or the fame or anything like that. But it's just an annoyance more than anything else. Their fans have taken the other route, and they've been a bit more campaigny about the whole thing.
Yeah.
But the reason we're talking about these guys is because they're based in Wales. They did play at Tree Fest for me about 5-6 years ago. I've not spoken to them since, but obviously I know they've still been working their way around the music scene. And it's just quite an interesting topic because it's all very well plagiarizing someone else's song, but where do you stand if you've done a similar sounding version of an already existing song?
Yeah.
Because it's not because the original material isn't yours in the first place to protect. It's just your style of someone else's song. So I don't know legally. Yeah. It's an interesting one to think about.
It is. That's an interesting question, John. And I don't know the answer to it.
I'm not going to play that particular track because it's been on a very similar one's been on the advert, so you probably think of it. But I'm going to play a tune from 2015 from The Portraits. This track is Walls of Silence.
I came, I saw, took the city by storm. That was the plan writ large across my sky. With my army of culture conquer, here you conquer them all. So I was told, and reality's gone by. But now I sit in a cell of anonymity, in 4 grey walls of silence. Never mind missing me, never mind warning. I know you'll barely notice when I go. Never mind missing me, never mind warning. I know you'll barely notice when I go. Notice when I go. in your light for all to see, surrounded by beauty and soft focus lights, hoping the spotlight turns on me. But now I sit in a cell-bound anonymity in four grey walls of silence. Never mind the semi, never mind warning. I know you'll barely notice when I go. Never mind the semi, never mind warning. I know you'll barely notice when I go. Never mind the semi, never mind warning. I know you'll barely notice when I go. Never mind the semi, never mind warning. I know you'll barely notice when I go. Notice when I go. Barely notice when I go. Barely notice when I go.
Good choice, John. Well done.
Oh, I thank you. Yeah, so that was Walls of Silence by the Portraits. So they're a duo. They're based in Wales. They've been on the folk scene for many, many years now. And yeah, they hit the news when they pointed out that John Lewis's Christmas tune track is very similar to one that they released last year. John Lewis did comment on it to say that the person that the Portraits contacted earlier this year had since left John Lewis and they weren't aware of the email correspondence.
Really? How convenient.
That's their official line on it.
All the major chains, they get the young kids in from university, go make us this hot branding, this hot new style. Those kids go and look at what's fashionable at the time with all the bespoke independent people, tweak it slightly, and it becomes the new chain lines.
Yeah,
it happens all the time.
Well, the guest we had on a couple of months ago, Jess Bradley, who's the artist who's got her own book range coming out and does stuff for Beano and that. She's had multiple instances of her artwork just appearing randomly in other places and not knowing how it got there.
Yeah,
it's a difficult one to keep track of, isn't it?
Well, it is difficult because obviously they're not crediting you on purpose.
Yeah. Product placement time, is it?
It is. Go with it because this week, John, it's you with product placement.
It is, and I am product placing this little EP here from Sarah Larkham. Now, Sarah has been a guest on the show before with her husband and Larkham and Hall, Elliot Hall, talking from their narrowboat. We need to get another guest from a narrowboat because we haven't had one for a while.
Well, how about we get the Fly Yeti Fly come on because they sold out the pump in like 30 seconds, so they'd be a good one. Wonderful.
But yeah, so Sarah Larkham, this EP, she launched officially last weekend on Sunday. She had an official launch party. It's called Heavenly. And this is the first time she's actually recorded solo material. So she's done stuff with Larkham and Hall. She's done stuff with Coyote Blue. But of all the years that she's been songwriting, this is her very first EP. So it's 7-track. We played one of her tracks a few weeks ago, which was called Daddy. But the whole EP is called Heavenly. And you can find it by just searching her out, Sarah Larkham. She's got plenty of copies left. She's happy to sign them and send them on to you.
Nice.
Look out for it. It was a lovely night. It was in the top room at the Hen and Chicken in Bristol, where Sarah also does acoustic, like a monthly open mic style folk night. And yeah, there was easily 100 people turned up for that event. It was really well supported. Really well supported.
Oh, lovely.
It's time for us to introduce this week's guest, who is Flo Espeut-Nickless, who is an actor. Well, you know her far more than me, Kieran. So we'll just do a quick intro for the interview, please.
So Flo is here to talk about her being born and raised in Wiltshire, what that means to her, and how she is taking that voice to the wider world through the medium of theatre and soon to be TV. I have met you through Chippenham, Trowbridge Town Hall, who you did your one-woman show there earlier this year. Give us a quick, brief outline of sort of who you are and what that show was and what it was about, and then sort of tie it in with all the different things that it actually is tied in with.
So I'm an actor and a writer, and I'm from Chippenham. I grew up there on a council estate called Hill Rise. I went to college in Trowbridge. So when I was like 16, I came to Wiltshire College and like to study performing arts. That was after like I had quite a tricky time at secondary school. I like got excluded in year 10 and like struggled in that environment. And then I was like encouraged, to go to college and to do performing arts and to like begin, to like try and start a career in like theatre, in performance. So I went off to uni and drama school and stuff, but I always like wrote alongside acting, but I'd never written a play before, so I wrote kind of like spoken word poetry, stand-up comedy, performed that a little bit, and then like after drama school, like I had a bit more time and I like felt like I wanted to try to write a play. I felt kind of, like frustrated, I guess, like when I was training and like getting into theatre and going to watch stuff that I didn't feel like my kind of experiences and like my community, the community I grew up in, was like represented within theatre. It felt like it was dominated by like middle class voices and middle class like narratives. And that wasn't like, my experience growing up. And then when I did start sort of seeing, more like stories centered around like working class communities, working class characters, it was always from like a very urban perspective. So they were like usually set in cities, which is obviously like, that's really great that those stories are being told, but that was like, very different to like my experience. So that was like what the play, my one woman show, which is called Destiny, that was like what that kind of came out of. So it's about a teenage girl growing up on that estate in Chippenham, and the kind of different challenges she faces along the way, how she kind of gets stuck in the system and isn't supported by like society and by the authorities in the way that she should be, but it's like an aspirational story as well. Like it's a story of like hope and ambition and determination. She dreams of becoming a backing dancer, so she's really into like MTV bass, R&B, rap. It's set in the mid-noughties, like when I was a teenager, so that she's got that like that ambition, that dream, that drive, which kind of like pulls her through all of these different difficult things that she goes through in her life.
Was Destiny, was that the first thing that is that your first show that you've written as a theatre production?
So that's the first play. The first play I've written was Destiny. Before that I was working as an actor, so I performed in like other company shows and like auditioned. This is my first play.
And so, because I mean, obviously I've seen it, and I've just actually, when you were just going through, some of the things, I was getting goosebumps. I was remembering the show because it was incredibly powerful. You're absolutely right. That voice, or that sort of voice, isn't reflected in theatre at all. You're absolutely right. It is a middle class, almost exclusive. It was quite exclusive, isn't it? And you really did bring it back down to roots level, which I absolutely loved. And you performed it quite a lot in the area, didn't you? Because you did Corsham and you did a few other local theatres, and they all sold out, didn't they?
It was like, we toured it like in the summer, so mostly in the southwest. And it was like really well received. Like we got good audiences in. It was at a time like when theatres like were sort of just starting up again, like with limited capacity and stuff. So it was in a bit of a like uncertain time in that sense. But the response was like really, really lush. We opened the show in Bristol, and then we did like some dates in Wiltshire, in Gloucestershire, and then we took the show to London in the summer. And again, like it was really like well received. And it's going to tour again next year. We're just like planning to take it to Edinburgh, hopefully. So hopefully
amazing.
And there's been like a lot of interest since the tour, like people wanting to book it, which is it's really amazing.
That's fantastic. And is there anything else happening with it? Is there an adaptation or anything happening?
I'm working with an organisation to like adapt it for TV. So that's amazing. Like happening. We've started that process, so we're
Amazing.
trying to like we're trying to write the pilot episode at the moment, and I'm working with a really experienced like TV screenwriter to do that.
Incredible.
Because TV's like a whole different like beast, a whole different form.
Yeah, I should imagine.
Yeah.
So I have no experience in TV at all. Theatre, I'm great, but TV, lost.
Yeah.
But that's amazing. That is really impressive. And obviously, when that happens, and it's going to happen, and you're going to break through, everyone's going to be so proud that you're from Chippenham and from Wiltshire and from our community. It's going to be incredible. So tell me, what are you working on at the moment?
Miracle on 34 Seymour Street, which is like a Christmas show for Trowbridge Town Hall. So that's taking most of my time and most of my attention at the moment. We go into rehearsals for that like in a week and a half or something. So I'm trying to get the script finished for that.
Give us I know obviously you're all still writing and it's nowhere finished, but give us a very sort of loose kind of feel for what the actual show's about.
Yeah, me and Gavin Osborn, who's a singer-songwriter who's like worked quite a bit at the town hall, who wrote the song for Trowbridge.
He did. We played it on this podcast.
Oh gosh, yeah. So we are co-writing it together. So Gavin's like focusing on the songs, so there'll be like songs and music in it, and then I'm writing the kind of the play like story narrative side of it. So it's about a brother and sister. It's set in Trowbridge. It's very, very local. It's set in Seymour, so on an estate in Trowbridge, and it follows like the brother and sister, Angel and Noel. We meet them at Christmas time, like at different points in their life. We meet them as children first of all, and then like up until like adults in 2021. So we do a sort of little like flash through the decades at Christmas time. Yeah, it will be like, I don't know, like real, funny, like relatable. Just full of like joy but will be authentic music. And I think we'll show like the reality of Christmas, hopefully, for like a lot of people and a lot of families, but in a like fun, joyful, relatable way.
So Flo, one thing we can't discuss you coming from the West Country without discussing the accent. You've got the wonderful Southwest accent. I've lived here a very, very, very long time, and I haven't got the accent. But you've got the Southwest accent. Do you think that
what, this country?
This country. Do you think that enabled people with accents, certainly the West Country, to be almost like deemed acceptable? Because I know a lot of the time those accents are derided, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that definitely like helped to like put the West Country on the map for sure. Like in a way, it's kind of like a bit shocking and surprising that there's not more stuff that's like rooted in the region. I guess the same as what they were doing with that show is people have these like conceptions, I think, about places like Wiltshire, about like Gloucestershire, the Cotswolds, that it's like full of like wealthy people, that it's all like beautiful countryside and everyone's like very affluent, but which there is like that side to it, of course. But like the reality for like a lot of people living in those communities is not that, which is what I like hope that my work can help to like to represent. I think you should just hold on to like where you're from and your roots and like celebrate that, really.
Yeah, not to be embarrassed by it.
No,
absolutely not.
I think we're heading towards a good wave in our favour for filming in the West, because I know from talking to my friends down in Bristol who work in the industry, Bristol is just a hotbed of filming locations at the moment. There's all kinds of different things going on, from the Beeb to Netflix to Channel 4. They're all down there. We've just obviously got Stephen Merchant's new comedy, The Outlaws, set in Bristol, which is fantastic. You've already mentioned This Country up in Northwich. There seems to be a lot of focus all of a sudden, like in the last 5 years, on our region. I think you're kind of in prime position to take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's true. Like it is really encouraging and exciting that there is more stuff like coming out, like The Outlaws, like you said. I was watching like a drama set in Bristol, Show Trial, like a BBC drama, and like yeah, there is like more and more stuff happening. So I think, yeah, we've just got to like grab that, like you said. And
I think it helps that Bristol at the moment is a really exciting city. Obviously, my field of vision really tends to be music, but I know comparing Bristol to like the other powerhouses of the past, like Manchester and Leeds, etc., Bristol is the most exciting city in the UK right now outside of London, hands down. And so obviously that goes hand in hand. You've got all these creative types, people like yourself producing interesting programs with an interesting voice. I think you're right. We're all sick of the middle class type comedies and TV programs and whatever. We want real. We want genuine stories and genuine voices. I'm finding that I've discovered world film. I love world cinema now. I'm really sick of Hollywood because it's not real. It's not real. World film it's so much more real. And
welcome to the dark side, Kieran.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Love it.
Anyway, Flo, when is the Christmas show happening? Do you know?
So we go into rehearsals in like a week, like the end of November, and we're rehearsing for like a few weeks. A really exciting, like creative team, all like Southwest based from the Southwest. So that's going to be really, really lush. The show, so there's previews the 17th and 18th of December are like 2 previews, and then the show opens officially from the 20th of December and it runs through until the 30th of December.
So no Christmas off for me.
Or me, wow.
Or you, yeah.
We get Christmas Day off. Yeah. So
yeah.
And that's in Trowbridge, yeah, just to clarify.
This will be at Trowbridge Town Hall. John, we're going to have a director, a lighting engineer. We've got the whole host, a properly produced presentation. My involvement is very, very small. So I'm just helping assist everybody. But I am really, really looking forward to it, Flo. I cannot wait.
Yeah, no, it should. Yeah, it's really exciting.
The book on household plants gently slipped from her grasp and her breathing became deeper, familiar and calm, and only when she'd shifted her body weight slightly and sunk her head into the softer of those 2 duck-feathered pillows, only then did Albert lean over to his wife's side of the bed, flick the lamp off, and then in total darkness and wearing his trusty blue striped pyjamas, heaved his heavy frame from his fake slumber, made his way carefully past the cumbersome ottoman and the precarious shoe rack. Trying not to breathe, he was silent, he was stealth. Aware of every creak on the staircase, he used her fluffy slippers as a softener, cushioning each footstep on the way down. At the foot of the stairs was a cupboard, and inside, behind a secret panel, was his costume. He disrobed, briefly naked, guiltily and excitingly nude in his own house. So late at night, the costume, it thrilled him and made him giggle in practically equal measure. Tight jeans, black tie t-shirt with the words Iron Maiden writ large. He pulled on his leather jacket and his Doc Martens, and he went out into the cold. Cause you see, Albert went out to see rock bands and stayed up till the morning light. You're only as old as you feel, they say, and Albert was feeling alright. Well, a 77-year-old man headbanging in a mosh pit can go easily unnoticed, especially when everyone else is headbanging in a mosh pit. Although Albert felt uncomfortable at times, well, that was mostly due to the lack of give in his genes. He felt joyful, he felt alive. In fact, the louder the music, the more he enjoyed it. This pastime meant for teenagers, but he embraced the strangeness, the sweat of a stranger, the thud of a bass line pumping through his veins. At one point, Albert threw both arms up in the air, pulled his 2 middle fingers down with his thumbs, and made the rock gesture as hundreds of kids moved as one, with him in their throng, screaming words to the songs they'd all learned in their bedrooms at home. When the band finished playing, he went out into the street in search of more adventures, reveling in his late blooming teenage rebellion. Still the clock, it ticked on in his bedroom at home as his wife, fast asleep, was seemingly unaware he was buying cheap cider and eating an offensively large kebab from a confused high street vendor. He intended to stay up as late as he could, soaking up the motion of cars, but he got himself lost in a park, played drunken air guitar, and still the clock ticked on in his bedroom at home as he recaptured a batch of his youth all alone. Cause you see, Albert went out to see rock bands and stayed up till the morning light. You're only as old as you feel, they say, and Albert was feeling alright. Around 5 a.m, Albert found his way back to his street as the sun peeked its face behind a neatly oval-shaped hill, heralding the dawn of the day. He looked up at his house and then down at his shoes, those Doc Martens, still as black as the night was 2 hours before. Oh, this has been brilliant, Albert said out loud. Then he bent down, pulled his shoes off and undid his yellow laces. He tied them together and threw them up to the sun-dusted sky, landing perfectly in electrical wires, like on the streets of New York, next to 5 other pairs that he'd thrown there before. He quietly opened his front door, poured himself out of his t-shirt and his jacket and his jeans, found his blue striped pyjamas, crept back upstairs, got back into bed and fell instantly asleep. Albert's wife opened her eyes and looked through the crack in the curtains onto a line of dirty black boots. She smiled to herself, just pleased that he'd made it home safe.
That track we've just played is from Gavin Osborn, and it's called Albert Went Out to See Rock Bands. Got a lovely story.
And it's an absolute corker. It's such a touching song. I've seen it live quite a few times, and it is genuinely really, really touching. What a lovely song. It actually made somebody cry when he played it in Trowbridge last time, so well done. Him. John, news.
I was going to say that we do all let our guests pick tracks, and Flo did want to play a Christmas track, but I kind of overruled because it's only November.
And nothing to do with the fact that we probably won't get clearance from YouTube.
Exactly, yeah. News. I think you've got some exciting news to talk about.
I do, but before I go launch into it, what exciting news do you think I'm talking about?
You made a nice big announcement. We've had a couple of big announcements actually for things that are going to be happening at Trowbridge.
Cool. Let's go with that then.
What news do you have?
Well, loads of news. Look, John, we have got an actual member of Oasis. We've got Andy Bell from Ride and Oasis. Now, I love Ride, but I loved Oasis. His tour is coming to Trowbridge next year. I'm going to stick him on this wall. He's going to go there. As soon as I find the glue, he's going there. But also, we've announced Lucy Farrell. She is from British folk band The Furrow Collective. So we're going to put her on at the Pump in Trowbridge, and we've really harking back to our roots on this one. I'm delighted to have her in Trowbridge. It really is just all coming back. Coming up rosy, John. It's really coming up rosy.
Cool. I've got a little bit of news talking about Oasis. Let's make an Oasis double feature. Now, the people who took over the Oasis in Swindon, they released new proposals for what they want to do with the place. And the two things that have been pointed out is their current plans do not include any kind of hall for live gigs. And it also includes the removal of the dome. So it's not gone down that well in Swindon.
I should imagine it hasn't.
Because when it was launched, it was this kind of one-stop shop for have a swim, go to the gym and go to a gig.
Yeah.
And it would appear that the current plans are say that there's no space for a deep, well, maybe a couple of little exhibition rooms, but nothing like a hall size, which on that site would be ideal.
No, it absolutely would be. I'm gutted because that dome actually, even if you don't like it, you can't get away from the fact that it's iconic. So, like it or lump it, it's there. But also your heritage. Come on, Oasis, name themselves after that building. You can't tear it down. Actually, John, if it gets teared down, does that really end the nostalgic nature of Britpop? Is that it?
There is a campaign running in Swindon to get the Oasis Dome registered as a listed monument or a listed building.
Is there really?
Not sure if it will be so. I mean, it is a unique structure, but I'm not sure if it's got the history or the uniqueness to it to warrant being put on the list.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's really, I mean, I used to go swimming there with my kids quite a lot. we'd always make the trip up to Swindon because it was such a cool place to go swimming. But like even not long after it had been there, like all the windows just were awful. And it's like, I get it why you want to, but yeah, no, I think you're right. There's no chance of that happening.
Cool. All right, let's wrap up then. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email sheerisolation@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, sheerisolation.co.uk. You can listen to previous tunes there, or you can go onto your podcasting streaming service of choice and find all of our previous episodes there. That's it from me, Kieran. Thank you for joining me.
Always a pleasure, John. Never a chore.
Now you need to go out and buy yourself a brighter light bulb.
I've bought 2 of the wrong bulb from Wilko's. I'm almost too embarrassed to even admit that, given my job.